Welcome back. You made it through the first screencast introducing CIE 400 to you and working through the website, talking about some of the ideas that we're going to be addressing over the course of the semester. And we were just getting to the point where we were looking at the syllabus. So you can see we're starting here on the front page of our website. And if we go right here where it says Syllabus and Readings and we click, we get, surprisingly, the Syllabus and Readings page. And you'll see that there is a link to a PDF version of our syllabus. I will click on that and it opens in a new page, and ta-da, here I have it. If you would like to save this, you can do that right here. If you'd like to print it, you can do it right here. If you'd like to manipulate the page differently, making it bigger or smaller to fit the screen, you can do that. So there are lots of ways you can manipulate this. I'm just going to look at it on the page here and see how that we'll see how that works with our screencast. So let's take a closer look at the syllabus and see where that takes us. So a couple things. One is that we are meeting on Thursdays from 12:10 to 3 p.m. Our actual room hasn't been announced as of right now, but it will be announced soon, and I'll be making a blog post about that when that's available, so you can always go back to the website, especially closer to the semester start, and see if there's an update on the actual room. As I've mentioned in the previous screencast, if you are international or at a distance and you are not able to join us live, we will be recording the classes using a Google Hangout. If you are available, even if you're in a different time zone, I highly encourage you to participate live in the class, again using Google Hangout. It's a very simple program that you can download to your computer. It's free. It allows us to have live video and audio so that you can see the class and the class can see you, and we can hear you and you can hear us. We can record it. It's a fun time, let me tell you. And we'd love to have you involved. So if you're at a distance, that's the way we'll work it. If you are here on campus, you don't have a choice. You should come every Thursday from 12:10 to 3 p.m. This is me. I am my official name, Dr. Alexander Wiseman. You are welcome to call me Alex. This is my office, although I'm not always there, so it's best to make an appointment if you plan on or need to meet. And this is my email address. You will also see emails that will come from me from a Gmail address. Both my Lehigh and my Gmail address go to the same inbox, so feel free to use either one. This is the official Lehigh one, though, so you know that this will always get to me, and it's shorter. We've gone over the course description a little bit in the previous screencast, but let me just start again by saying that the goal of the course is to introduce you to the origins and the development of the field of comparative and international education. That's number one. And we want to explore both how scholars and educational policymakers have engaged some of the debates that characterize research in education around the world, specifically from an international and comparative perspective. We want to introduce you to the comparative studies literature specifically related to education, but we'll be going a little beyond that, looking at some sociology and some methodology and some political science stuff as well, and to develop an understanding of the relative utility or use of different theoretical approaches and research methods for understanding both formal and non-formal education issues. One of the main goals for us for this class is to help you develop your own theory or your own conceptual framework for thinking about education from a comparative and international perspective. I think it's actually a really exciting thing to be doing. It's very important that you have this, I think, especially at the beginning of your educational career with us at Lehigh in the CIE program. And we'll talk about what that means as we move forward. The world, quite frankly, is wide open to you. The world of theory, the world of frameworks. It's just a matter of thinking about which ones make the most sense for you, which ones tend to help you answer the questions that you're asking, and how are you combining the ones that exist versus the frameworks that you're thinking of in your own mind together. All right, that was maybe a little too deep, but you see where we're going. We're going to be looking at similarities and differences in educational policy and practice between both, I've got here advanced and developing societies. I think on the website I say emerging societies and others. You can see that there's a lot of debate still about what the correct or the proper or the appropriate terminology is to use there. And at the end of the course, you should be able to think about your own school or educational system, whatever educational system that you are embedded in. You should be able to think about it within a global context and have a really solid understanding of how to internationally compare, at least at the beginning level. So, objectives. Here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to introduce you to the importance and contribution of comparative and international education to the general field of educational studies, as well as other professional or academic fields. So there is a tendency within the social sciences more broadly for the study of education to be either absorbed by those other social sciences, so sociologists study education, political scientists study education, economists study education. We're trying to say, hey, it's important for us to, from a comparative and international education perspective, to specifically be ones to generate research and ideas and knowledge about our own field. We want to instill a sense of the history and professional community that are relevant to comparative and international education. You'll hear me say this in class. I'm going to say it again right now. We are a relatively young field. Really, comparative and international education as a professional field of study only consolidated in the 1950s. Now, I know that may seem like a long time ago, but in the scheme of things, it really isn't. We're really only about 60 years old as a field. And that means that a lot of the sort of mothers and fathers of CIE, of comparative and international education, quite frankly, are still around. You can meet them, you can email them, you can have a conversation with them, and so we can connect you to that. We in our CIE program, those of us who are faculty on the program are very well linked in, and we would like to bring you into the professional community in a way that makes sense. We'd like to provide insight into various frameworks for analysis and a variety of literature that addresses issues related to education within a global context. I already mentioned up here that we wanted to introduce you to the broader way that comparative and international education is embedded in the social sciences. And so we're going to be introducing sociological, political, economic, historical, and other types of frameworks to help you think about education within a global context. Frame the way that you're thinking about this in a way that you can address and hopefully answer the questions that make sense for you, and also see what other perspectives might bring to this, right? We're not trying to say that there's just one way. There are multiple ways to think about comparative and international education. That's kind of the cool thing. We'd like to help you understand the value, uses, and abuses of comparison for educational policymaking and practice, both within national education systems and between them. So, is there value in educational comparison? How is educational comparison done? How is it done incorrectly or wrong? These are important things to address and to discuss, and so we'll get into some of those issues in the class. We want to introduce you to the comparative method for understanding and analyzing education around the world. There is a methodology. There is a method to our madness, right? There is a way that we do comparison. There's not just one way, though. There are multiple ways. And so we're going to look in the class at one way in particular called meta-analysis, but we also, or research synthesis, but we also want to introduce you to the idea that there are many ways that are appropriate for comparing education at all levels, from the micro to the macro. But that there is a sort of a way of thinking about comparison that should embed itself in all of those different approaches. We'd like for you to think comparatively about educational systems in an international context. That means that we want you to not just think about, well, what's happening in the Bethlehem School District and have it be sort of that flat awareness, that may dig down into the individual's context, but it doesn't ever consider, well, how is Bethlehem situated in the district? And how is the district situated in the state? And how is the state situated in the nation? And how is the nation situated in the international community? Right? So we have to peel back these layers to think about how education operates and what are the mix of influences and pressures and understandings and limitations or boundaries and all these other things that are shaping what happens in, quite frankly, in classrooms and with individuals. It blows it all the way from the micro to the macro. Okay, so that's the big stuff about what we're doing and where we're going. And I hope you can tell from at least my voice, I know you can't see me, that I get excited about this, and I think you should too. This is a really interesting topic. It's a really interesting field, and we're going to be talking about some really important ideas that hopefully will shape and direct you as you move through the program at Lehigh as well as your own career. All right, let me talk a little bit about some of the sort of housekeeping before we get past this and into course grading and assignments. First of all, well, I talk a lot on these screencasts, but when we're in class, when we're actually having our class session, I might give a short introductory lecture, or I might use some slides. In fact, I probably will use slides most days to orient our discussion. But the primary format for the course, I intend it to be a participatory seminar, which means that you are going to be asked to read a variety of materials and to come to class prepared to discuss them. Now, class discussion, whether it's in class or it's on our website in the discussion section, and our readings and our analysis of issues and our presentations or simulations or whatever we're doing, will all be part of your participation in the class. Right? And I'm expecting you to participate in all of those. Don't be shy about speaking up. Right? It's going to be important for you to have your own voice and to make that voice heard. We are in a field where it is important to communicate what you're thinking and how you're thinking about things, and to take some risks in how you're thinking about stuff and articulating it. Right? It doesn't mean that you and I will always agree, or you will always agree with your classmates. And that's okay, actually. That's being part of the world, right? What's important is for us to learn how to talk to each other, even when we might have different approaches or perspectives. I'd also like to point out that every one of you brings a wealth of personal experience and practical expertise that will enhance the learning process and make your whole graduate experience more meaningful. So by sharing your reflections about your personal, professional, or academic experiences, we can develop a critical understanding of the main concepts in this course. You guys come from a wealth of backgrounds, and we'll do introductions on the first day, and you'll see that you come with so many experiences and so many interesting histories and knowledge that you'll want to take part of this class in a way that allows you to engage each other. Okay, so there's that. Let me talk about two other things very directly. This section on academic integrity, I'm not going to read through this. What this basically says is don't plagiarize or cheat or do anything that you think might be unethical. Right? That is not appropriate. It's never appropriate. You will be fully held accountable for anything that you do that is unethical. You will perhaps flunk the class or be kicked out of Lehigh. I mean, the consequences are serious. So don't do that stuff. If you have a question or you aren't sure, let me know. I will be happy to help you work through whatever question you might have. And feel free to visit this link to get more information about not plagiarizing. Finally, as this screencast ends, and we'll move on to the next one after this, let me just say that if you have a physical or a learning disability, or you feel that you need some sort of special situation or some sort of accommodations to help you learn as well as you need to in the class, let us know. You have to let the Office of Academic Support Services know, and let me know, and we will do everything we can to make sure that your needs are met. I will see you in the next screencast.